Today we will look at the question of whether an atheist can enjoy religious music. We start by an early case of music piracy, namely Allegri's Miserere Mei. This is a setting of Psalm 51 and it was composed by Gregorio Allegri in the 1630s and it was performed in great secrecy in the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City during the Tenebra, the religious services preceding Easter in Rome. It was forbidden to write down the score and it was only ever performed in Rome. However, the mystique came at an end when a 14-year-old W.A. Mozart attended the service. He wrote down the entire thing from memory and the rest is history. Pretty soon, the entire world could enjoy this secret piece and I will let you hear the result here. Now imagine a Christian listening to this wonderful piece for the first time ever and an atheist doing the same. In this final lecture, I want to talk to you about religious fictionalism and religious liturgy and music. In how far can an atheist enjoy these? Religious atheists can be found in many different situations. For example, Philip Pullman in a discussion declared, I am a Christian atheist, a Church of England atheist, a Book of Common Prayer atheist. You could add a King James Bible atheist if you want. All those things go deep for me. They formed me. That heritage is impossible to disentangle, like a piece of barbed wire fence embedded in the bark of a tree. I've absorbed the Church's rituals and enjoy its language, which I knew as a boy, and now that it's gone, I miss it. The question is, should Philip Pullman miss it? Is the writer of various stories, including The Golden Compass, forced to choose? Perhaps there's a way for him to enjoy the rituals and the music without the corresponding beliefs. If you choose as a final essay, can an atheist enjoy Christian music? You can think of this question. Can an atheist enjoy Christian music, or is there something incomplete about her experience? This brings us to a broader issue, namely religious fictionalism, which, as Scott and Malcolm characterize it, is the theory that says that it is morally and intellectually legitimate to affirm religious sentences without believing the content of what is said, and more broadly, that practices available to religious believers can also be engaged with by non-religious believers. And here particularly, I want to think about music. Terence Cuneo argued in an article on liturgical singing that the form of singing matches its content for liturgy. Singing in a group is a collective action of a particular sort. It requires a kind of group intentionality. It requires that we listen to each other while we perform, and it requires that we adjust our voices to others in real time. So, while Cuneo is right that the performance, the form, and the content of liturgical singing fit well, it leaves open the question what happens when you are not a religious believer. Say, for example, you sing the following song, Tantum Ergo Sacramentum, which is a Latin hymn, and the translation is So great a sacrament, let us venerate with heads bowed. What if you do not, in fact, think that there is anything special and sacramental about the Eucharist, as Catholics do, who sing this particular hymn? Neil and Ridley argue that atheists can enjoy religious music without loss by treating it as a fiction that they sincerely hold it to be. So, an atheist listening to Bach's Matthew Passion can regard it the same way as a reader of Anna Karenina. You can feel sad about Anna Karenina jumping under the train, feel moved by her plight, and so similarly, you can feel moved by Christ's passion, even though you didn't think that it actually happened. But there are worries. And isn't this just sentimentalism? Your emotions are, in a sense, not real. They're fake, they're make believe, pretend emotions. There's the added worry that Christianity is culturally close to us in a way that, say, ancient Greece is not. We can't enjoy ancient Greek plays about gods and heroes the way the ancient Greeks did because we miss the cultural environment. But it would, in principle, be possible for the atheist to enjoy Christian liturgical music in a way that is available to Christians. So, what are they missing out on? As you will read in their paper, Neil and Ridley consider these worries both for the friendly atheist, which Neil and Ridley call room temperature atheist, the atheist who, as we've seen in Rowe's paper, think that theists can be reasonable in their belief, and for militant atheists. So, what to think about militant atheists? Can they enjoy religious music? They think religion's not just mistaken, but somehow also pernicious. Now, even there, as you'll see, Neil and Ridley thinks there's a way for the militant atheist to recognize great religious music for what it is, if the atheist sincerely recognizes the sentiments in it. Sentiments about power, about the triumph of the human spirit, and that's not nothing. Still, there must be something qualitatively different between the atheist's enjoyment and that of, say, a Christian who listens to Bach's Matthew Passion. The question depends on whether religious fictionalism is successful. According to Andrew Eshelman, an atheist can, in some sense, believe in God by appropriating religious language. The atheist thinks that what the language says is false, but within the fiction, you can have true claims. For example, it is true that Bilbo is a hobbit in the fiction of Tolkien's Middle-earth. It is false that Bilbo is a dwarf. And those statements make sense within the Middle-earth fiction, even though there is no such person such as Bilbo. Similarly, it's true that the snake deceived Eve into eating from the apple or from the fruit of the tree of good and evil, knowledge of good and evil. Gaudry, however, argues that such appropriation is not successful. And that's because social conventions among religious believers require that if you say something like Jesus rose from the dead, you presuppose a commitment to truth telling. You can't just, as a fictionalist, You're not just at liberty to reinvent religious discourse for your own ends. There's a community of speakers that you need to contextualize in. So the question is, what do you think? Do you think that an atheist can enjoy religious music? Do you think there's something that the atheist misses out on? Have a look at the papers and the folders and let me know what you think.